It's been a hell of a week, a long week. And I'll tell you what, yesterday was one of the strangest of my life. And I just want to give you some context and some background to this. I was invited to an event, I suppose. It's the best, it's not a particularly good word for it, called Bearing Witness at the Israeli Embassy. And about 60 journalists and other people from around New Zealand were invited to this. And it was the airing of 47 minutes of raw footage taken from the body cams of Hamas squads, the 2,500 to 3,000 Hamas soldiers who went into Israel on October the 7th. There was footage too from home security cameras, from the body cameras of first responders to the massacre, or the massacres, I think is the right thing to say. Recordings of phone calls and phone communications amongst the Hamas. Soldiers isn't the right word. Murderers, animals. Ben, actually, you'd seen it, hadn't you? You'd seen a bit of it. The embassy sent you some stuff. And you stopped when the dog got shot, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I couldn't go much farther.
Okay, well, Ben, that was just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And no one likes kids dying. No one likes families and innocent civilians getting caught in the crossfire. And, of course, in Gaza, which is not an occupied territory, many people have. Many people have got caught in that crossfire. Many innocent people. But what I saw yesterday was, and the inhumanity of it was unbelievable. It was a systemic genocide being live streamed. I'll tell you later in the program I'll just say I ended up sitting next watching this to a guy who was worn in public quite proudly, standing next to our Governor General, actually, the keffiyeh, or the huffa, which is, of course, the headscarf, black and white headscarf, that is a symbol, essentially, of Palestine and part of the uniform of Hamas. So I was sitting next to Paul Hunt watching this, and I don't know if he feels proud of having worn the keffiyeh or the huffa. I don't know if his liberal sensibilities make him think he's cool when he does that. I know he's paid about $500,000 by we, the taxpayer, to uphold human rights in this country and presumably be a decent human being. At least he had the decency, along with the rest of us, to wince and turn away as we saw the bodies of innocent people being decapitated with garden hose. I should have put a warning on this. And the beheading of someone of a soldier with a knife, with a kind of combat knife. And that wasn't the worst of it. I took some notes. I went back over them this morning, and I couldn't believe it. I asked Paul Hunt on this morning. I said, "Can you talk about what you see?" He said, "Why?" And I said, "Because you're a person who represents a body that, a statutory body in New Zealand that might have something to say about this." No, couldn't do that. And I said, "Oh, well, does the Human Rights Commission consider that Hamas is a terrorist organisation?" And he, well, the government's position is. I said, no, what's the Human Rights Commission position on whether or not Hamas are a terrorist organisation? He said, look, I'm not sure we've got one. I can't say. I'm here in a personal capacity. I'll be OIA-ing your diary to see if you were there in a personal capacity, Paul. And then I said, well, in a personal capacity, do you think Hamas are terrorists? And he wouldn't answer the question. And I know his life's not too good at the moment. He's on the way out, and the government will move against him. And Paul, as a human being, I know that you saw what I saw yesterday, and that will be having, I would hope it would be having a similar effect upon you as it has had and will continue to have upon me. But for God's sake, this country must recognise what happened there and not beat about the bush. And I don't care how complex it is and how long the conflict goes back. There was peace on October the 6th. There was a ceasefire. One side changed that with, I'll put it this way. I think it would have been less traumatic watching people being loaded into the gas chambers at Auschwitz. There was a glee. There was a glee amongst the young men taking selfies as they committed mass murder or dropped bodies off, took bodies back into Gaza and dropped them off, literally so the crowds could play with them. I don't want to go around being, my bottom and saying, oh, I've seen things you haven't seen, you don't understand. But I've just seen stuff, and I'm sure actually you could see most of the stuff I saw yesterday if you just went through and took clips off the internet, because Hamas have posted it. Allah Akbar, God is friggin' great. But everyone, or families and connections of everyone on these videos, have been approached by the IDF, the Israeli Defence Force, and told, and some people said, no, I don't want my dead relatives' image being showed, because literally you see people dying. People driving down the street and suddenly getting shot. Probably it's hard to say what was the most shocking thing that I saw. But I guess the whole lot, that 2,500 young men, highly organised, with brand new military equipment that's come in from Iran or somewhere, all shiny, brand new webbing belts, went around systematically terrorising, killing people, innocent people, setting up fields. Don't waste ammunition, save that for the soldiers. Yeah, shoot that one in the head. Allah Akbar. God is great. And how many hostages are there? Well, there were 240 taken, but it's hard to know who's dead and whose charred remains might be somewhere. I talked to this pathologist. He said, well, and she worked on 9/11, this woman. And she said it's at that scale, dental records, people burned beyond recognition. But two boys and their dad recognising something's going on, and they captured their CCTV home video. They run through their kitchen, their lounge, they run outside. They run into what looked like, I don't know, a changing room at the swimming pool or whatever, or an outbuilding. And the Hamas guys just throw a grenade in casually, which blows Dad up. And then the two boys come out. One of them's wounded. And they kind of ignored them for a bit. And they're in their lounge just traumatised, screaming, Daddy, Daddy. And the older boy, he must have been 12, the younger one, 8, he starts tending his wound because he had a shrapnel hole in his shoulder. And meantime, these young Hamas guys, they are drinking milk out of the fridge, just checking the fridge to see if there's anything to eat there. And then Mum turns up, rather traumatised, and they drag her off. First question I asked after we'd seen, I said, what happened to the boys and the mother? All safe and well. And I don't know why that gave me some hope. Geez, I hope Chloe, Golrees, Ricardo, Marima, I reckon there should be a special showing for you of that video, and I reckon you should have to wear your keffirs into and out of the embassy and see how cool you feel after that. Just an idea.